Hello, I'm Shannon with Waffle Flower, and I'm here at Scrapbook.com sharing with you guys how to create this colorful landscape scene that's very easy to do with our brand new painted landscape die and a very sweet sentiment set that's called Here For You. We're going to start with an A2 panel of white cardstock, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have the painted landscape die. This die is exactly the same dimensions of an A2 panel, so I'm going to flip it over and line up this panel within the edges of the die. Once lined up, I'll hold it down and use a couple pieces of purple tape to hold the die in place. Grab our top plate and run it through the die cutting machine. This die cuts out the frame for the panel as well as the mountains and the layered sky. I'm going to pop all these pieces out and save them all because we need all of these pieces to create our panel. Now that we have our panel die cut and all the negative pieces laid out, we're going to add some adhesive to this scrap of cardboard just to hold these pieces to our sky in place when we add color to them. So I have a tape runner. Just run a few strips down here. Then I'll just grab these sky pieces and put them on the cardboard. Now that I have all the sky pieces on our piece of cardboard with that adhesive so they won't move around on us when we add the ink, now we're going to create this colorful background or this colorful sunset sky. And we're going to use a really easy technique for this, which is applying ink from an ink pad directly onto our cardstock. I'm going to start with my lightest shade. I'm using Distress ink for this, but you can use any ink pad that you have. And I'm going to start with a yellow, and I'm going to apply the ink at my very first layer or my bottom layer for my sky. Just swipe across and you get this beautiful kind of variegated look when you swipe the ink pad across the cardstock. And you can do it a couple times if you want to intensify the color. I'm even going to go onto the second layer a little bit too because I want to create that gradation. I'll move on to orange. Again, just swipe it over the surface. I also love how the ink kind of collects or is more prominent on the edges because of that we've die cut this panel first. This will really create a fun look. Now onto our pink. You can see when the colors overlap each other, kind of creates like a new color. A light purple. This is Blueprint Sketch. Then we'll finish with some chipped sapphire. And that will complete our sunset. So with our sunset all colored, we're now going to take our panel and all the pieces and attach it to an A2 card base. I'm going to use liquid adhesive to do this, and I'm going to start with the frame. You don't have to add the adhesive completely over every edge of the paper. Just a couple dots, especially on this mountain piece, is all you need to make sure this will stick down onto your card. Just line the frame up with the edges of the card. There we go. Now I can start puzzle piecing the rest of the pieces in. I'm going to use liquid glue again for each one of these pieces. Starting with the edges. So I'm going to start with the top of the sunset. So I'm going to finish off this beautiful landscape sunset card with a really nice sentiment from our brand new Here For You stamp set. As you can see, there's some really sweet sentiments, all the hugs, here for you always. I think I'm going to use I Wish I Could Be There, with you. So I'll pull that off. And I'm going to pair it with one of the hearts from this set as well. I'm going to use a stamp positioning tool just so I make sure I get the sentiment perfect. I'm going to stamp it here in the lower left corner. There we go. Just fold this over to pick up the stamp. And I'll ink the sentiment up with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Then just stamp. And then we'll remove it, and that will complete our card. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a message.